Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So just coming to you today, want to do a follow-up to the 280 Remington video that I posted a few days ago. It was basically a call for help from you guys. If anyone had some recommendations or some insight on how to make this thing shoot better. This is a New England Firearms handy rifle chambered in 280 Remington or 7mm Express, however you want to call it. And to date, this has been the most frustrating reloading project that I have undertaken. So just it was to the point where nothing would work. Go back, watch all the videos I have on this thing. I mean, you know, this is what you're talking about. You know, third shot somewhere up above this target for those. There's 3 shots right in there that's really good. But then, you know, it would do stuff where you would maybe put a couple close and then you would throw one way up here, or, you know, down here where it's not even close. I mean, you got those 3 shots there, and then these 3. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about groups that are multiple inches. And that's been a common theme for this rifle, where you might shoot 1 or 2 groups that are halfway decent and halfway is stretching it like 1.5 inches, and then all of a sudden it opens up to 3 inches, 3.5 inches. That's been the norm with this rifle, and it's been very frustrating. You just pretty much feel like you're wasting components, wasting time. So yeah, that's a couple of different bullets there. I think that's the Barnes 120. Now it's not wanting to focus. There we go. The Barnes 120, and these down here, these are like the Hornady 139. So those are terrible. And then this is some stuff. I did seating depth test with the Sierra 140, but I mean, look, same thing, you know, it just, and that's the thing too, your point of impact, it just varies wildly from one charge weight to the next. And so just kind of frustrating. Felt like I was chasing my tail. Here recently in the last video, if you guys go back and watch that one, I had some issues. Are you taking a picture of me? Yeah. Okay. My amazing wife is over here in the kitchen cooking up a lasagna to take to some family members. But where was I at? So go back and watch the last video I just posted with about 280. I gotta drink some coffee, my afternoon coffee. So I pointed out a few issues in that video, and I really appreciate all of the comments that came in on that video, because I think we're on to something, and we'll walk through the issues that we ran into. So let me address the misfires that I had, right? They are really good primer strikes, so they're not light in any way. But several of you mentioned, hey, those CCI 34s, those are in fact a really hard primer. They're designed that way, they're manufactured that way to prevent like a slam fire in a semi-auto action, that type of stuff. So we switched because we had 4 misfires over the course of probably maybe less than 40 rounds. So I wanted to come back, got y'all's opinion on that. So we actually switched. I was able to trade some primers to my buddy Neil. I traded some small rifle for some large rifle. I used Federal, just the standard Federal large rifle primers for this next testing that I'm about to show you. Used those, loaded up 15 rounds. So 5 3-shot groups, different charge weights, and had 0 issues whatsoever. Everything went off, no problem. So feel confident about the primer issue, the misfire, that solved. We're gonna use Federal primers moving forward in this project. So I think we're good there. So no issues there. The next thing, somebody mentioned barrel twist. I think they were like, hey, do you know what twist rate it is? And to be honest with you, I had never checked this particular rifle. So what I did, I took my cleaning rod and I taped it off and put a brush on the end of it a brass brush and was able to push that through the barrel, and by marking, you know, where it started and where it made a complete revolution, I was able to get the twist rate within reason. I kept coming out to a 1 in 12 inch twist is the twist rate that I kept getting, which if you go and look at the Berger, they've got a bullet stability calculator on their website, and it's geared toward their bullets, but I mean, you kind of get a rough idea. Just plugging that in with like a 140 grain bullet, I think it was their 140 grain Classic Hunter. If you punch that in, you're marginally stable with a 1 in 12. So I think the twist rate might be just a touch slow for that type of bullet weight and length in this particular cartridge. So what I wanted to do for this round of testing, the results that I'm about to show you, I went back, and the shortest bullets that I had a decent amount of were the Barnes 120. They were a little bit shorter than the 140 ballistic tips that I tested. I've got some Spear 130s, but I don't have enough to do testing plus load them up for my dad to hunt with. So, but I had enough Barnes left over from my initial testing. I had enough of those left over where I could go do this test, and then I'd have enough left over to work up, you know, to load up for hunting ammo. So I went with those. They're the 120s. They're the shortest 7mm bullets I have other than the 130s, but again, just don't have enough of those. So wanted to go with the shortest bullet because bullet length, that's where your instability is going to come into play. Not necessarily weight, but length is critical. So wanted the shortest bullet I could get. Went with the Barnes, and that's what I tested. Stuck with the same powder, IMR 4831, because it has really good case fill, so good load density. And I've got enough of it, same kind of situation, have enough to work up a good load and then turn over about 20 rounds. I've got plenty to load up more, but I'm gonna give my dad about 20 rounds to hunt with, and that should last him for a while, so he should be good after that. So that was our bullet selection. That was the comment about twist rate, so I appreciate whoever pointed that out as well, because I had never checked it in this rifle, so that was a good thing to check. And then my buddy CW, he had commented about how to, let's see here, how to try and free float, and kind of put that in air quotes, free float the barrel, because it's not going to be truly free floated, because the way this thing attaches, the way this forend attaches, it screws right into the barrel, right there with that screw. Okay, there's a piece that's welded to the barrel where that screws into, and the issue was the stock makes complete contact with the barrel under normal circumstances, so this actually sits flush onto the barrel for the full length of the forend. Okay, and he had mentioned getting some washers. There's a recess on the inside here where you can actually stack up you know, a washer or two, or whatever you deem appropriate thickness wise. You can stack that up, and then when you go and tighten that down, that'll sort of somewhat free float your barrel. And so that's what I did. I took a rubber washer. It's actually the washers that come on the Hornady die sets. I think they're bullet seating dies. They have a little rubber washer on them. I had a couple of those laying around, so I used one, and I had to cut it just a little bit to get it to work right, but I laid it in there pretty much flat and then tightened the screw down with a decent amount of torque, and you guys could see the clearance between the forend and the barrel. So we're as free floated as we can get, right? Let's put it that way. And so I think we've solved our problems, and went to the range today, and this is the target that we came out with. Look at this. Like, I am super pumped about the target that I shot today. Like, this is the one of the best things, not necessarily the group sizes. I mean, I am pumped about the group sizes, don't get me wrong. You know, our worst group was this first one at 1.673. I mean, we would have loved to have had a 1.673 inch group over here somewhere, right? I mean, this one Barnes right there, that guy was the best one, but the rest of them were just garbage, right? So we would have loved to have had groups like this in previous range sessions, but we just couldn't pull it off. So one thing that I really like, that I'm glad it kind of worked out this way, is the point of impact. If you'll notice, very stable. You know, I mean, if you really wanted to pick nits, I mean, kind of right there, that one's a little bit higher. It would have been nice to be slightly lower, but I mean, they're all going kind of high and to the right. I mean, this one's kind of high, not as much to the right, but that is a vast improvement over what we've seen throughout the life cycle of this project. So I think we've pretty much nailed it between the changes that we made for the primer, right? That helps in the ignition and all that, and actually being able to shoot the round that you load, that's always nice. But between selecting the proper bullet for what could possibly be a slow twist rate, right, for the 280, 1 in 12 is slow for this, for these heavier bullets. So I think we chose correctly with the lightest and shortest one that I had, which was the Barnes 120. I think that helped. Between that and then sort of free floating the barrel as much as possible, as much as we could, because that's it. Everything else stayed the same, right? The way I shoot the rifle, I shoot off bags, the whole nine, all of that stayed exactly the same. So the only things we changed were what I've already mentioned in the video. And the primers, in my opinion, are not what did this. I think sort of free floating that barrel as much as possible, and then making sure we chose the shortest bullet we could, that really made the difference, in my opinion. That made all the difference. I mean, these are some of the best groups that I have shot, especially right there, you know, between that and that one on the top end that we tested. I mean, those are some of the best groups that I've shot with this rifle ever. I don't really want to go on the top end, 57.2, just because I'm a little concerned about hitting pressure and cratering the primers. If you'll recall, I had some issues with that, testing a different powder and a different bullet, and it makes it very difficult to get the break action open when I crater those primers. So I don't really want to go on the top end. I was thinking maybe, you know, just right here, something like 56.4 or whatever, right? And just load that, go out, maybe shoot 3 more shots, make a scope adjustment, shoot a few shots just to make sure that, you know, it's not going to throw some crazy flyer, and call it good, right? And load up about 20 rounds and be done. So very excited about the performance that we saw, the increase in performance. So that's it. That's where we're going to leave it. Short and sweet video today. Huge shout out and thank you to everyone that took the time to comment on that last video. I read every single one of them. Obviously, we applied some of what you guys had pointed out. So I'm really appreciative of that. That was the whole reason of putting that video out in the first place, was to just get some feedback on what you guys thought it could be, or some of the issues that we might be, you know, what could we do to reduce those issues or fix them or whatever it was. So really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good one, and we'll catch you next time.